Workbook lead magnets give you the opportunity to set some homework for your audience. Here's why that's a better idea than it sounds. The workbook format is a great way of teasing information out of people. Now, oftentimes people will have a lot of information in their head, but they can't necessarily separate the useful from the useless. A workbook provides a structured environment to help people articulate what they already know. It helps to provide clarity so that people can make progress. A marketing agency might offer this workbook to business owners to help them articulate who their ideal customer is. It consists of a cover page, a short introduction, and then a series of exercises for the reader to complete. As always, there's a call to action page at the end. You can find the link to this workbook in the description below the video. Now that we've seen what a workbook is, let's go ahead and recreate this example in Beacon. Alright, so we're on the Beacon dashboard. We're going to create a new workbook. So let's just click the yellow button to do that. Create new lead magnet. And obviously we're choosing a workbook, so let's just select that. We're not going to import any blog content, so click no. And then we now get to choose a template for the workbook. So all of these are completely customizable. You can swap out images, fonts, colors, whatever to suit your brand. I think we're just going to pick this one because it looks like there's somebody completing a workbook there. So let's go for that. Then we're going to give this a title so we can refer back to it later. Alright, so the workbook has been created. If I zoom out, you can see the cover page here on the right hand side, and the left hand side gives a breakdown of all the pages that are included in this workbook. So we've got the cover page, we've got an introduction page, we have these individual worksheet pages. So if I zoom in, you can see that these all have like sample dummy content in it. So it's up to us really to replace this content with our own content, and that's like the questions that we want to ask our audience. That's what we'll put in here so that they can write their answers below. So we're going to go through each of these pages one by one, and you can see that there's slightly different styles of work page. So this one has like larger boxes for more detailed answers. This one has this split level, like it's a 2x1 format, and this one has like just one giant large box. So it's up to us to really sort of mix and match what we need for our individual workbook. And then finally, there's a call to action page at the end of the lead magnet to help promote our paid products and services. So we need to go through each of these pages and just customize it to suit our needs. So let's start with the cover page. So this particular workbook in our fake company is for a marketing agency, and this marketing agency wants to help their prospective customers to articulate who their ideal customer is. So a workbook can really help to tease that information out of them. So let's just make that clear on the cover page that this is what the workbook is for. Alright, so if I save that, you can see our cover page is shaping up. The big background image is good, we don't need to change that, so let's just leave it. We have the actual title of the workbook, a short description of what the workbook is to help, catch the eye of people who might come across this workbook casually. We want to convince them that, this workbook can really help them. So this small text area does that. Our fake marketing company doesn't have a logo, so let's just click on that image to delete it via the blue menu. And that's the cover page done. Let's move on to the introduction. Now, an introduction is a great opportunity to really highlight your expertise and your experience, and that helps to build a level of trust with the audience who are reading this workbook. Now, it's important to remember that people that download this workbook may not be completely familiar with you as a business or as a company. So this is your opportunity to convince them that you know what you're talking about and that the workbook that you've prepared is worthwhile. So let's do that. Alright, so that's the introduction page done. If I just click save, we can then move on to the next page, which is the actual worksheets. So the worksheets are obviously the most important part of any workbook. This workbook contains 4 different worksheets. And if I zoom in, you can see that there has a title, short description of the page, and then the various questions. So I think for our purposes, we don't necessarily need the headline and the description here. And that's because we sort of cover that in like the cover page for the workbook and also the introduction for the workbook. So I'm just going to click on these and use the blue menu to delete them. And the same for this. And the same for this little spacer too. So that leaves us with a page of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. And obviously what you need is the questions for your own workbook. So these are going to be completely different for everyone watching this video. What I've done is I've prepared just a list of sample questions that would be applicable in the type of workbook that we're making. So these are them here on the screen. You can see we've got standard things like name, age, location, job title. So they're likely to be short, one-line answers. And then we've got sort of longer, more detailed questions like about challenges and pain points, common objections to buying. So these are things that are going to need a little bit more room. So for example, this type of box wouldn't really fit our purposes. So we're going to have to mix, big boxes with short boxes, long boxes with short boxes. So I'm going to show you the quickest, easiest way to do that, I think, is to add a mix page. So to do that, just make sure that your Pages tab is open. Go to Add New Page, filter by Worksheet, and then scroll down to Worksheet Mix. So you can see in this page that the worksheet contains a mix of different question formats. So it has this option here where you can put like some text on the left hand side, and then you can leave space on the right hand side for the reader's answer. And this format is like 2 questions on 1 row. This one is like a short question, and this one is a longer question. So between all these different options, we can really mix and match, duplicate and delete to put together a worksheet that accurately reflects the questions that we need to ask. So let's just check back on our list of questions. So we've got name, age, location, and job title. So that's like 4 relatively short answers. So I think the best format for those questions would be like this double group. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in between these 2 boxes, and I'm going to use the blue menu to just duplicate this group. So now all of a sudden we have room for 4 answers, but we still only got 2 questions. So I'm going to do the same thing, click in between these 2 questions and use the blue menu to duplicate this group. And then I just need to move this row of questions down in between this box. So again, I'm going to click in between the 2 questions, and I'm going to use the arrows in the blue menu just to move this down. So now all of a sudden we can customize these to be things like name, age, location, and then the last one was job title. So already this page is shaping up. Let me just zoom out just to get a look. So I don't think we don't need the headline here because we have the cover page, and we don't need this text because we have an introduction page. So let me just delete these by clicking on them and using the blue menu to delete. Click and delete. So I'm going to zoom back in, and we want the first sort of 4 questions to be these name, age, location, job title. So I'm just going to move these guys down. So they're below it. We're going to make sure that the column group is selected rather than the column, and just move that down again. And zoom back in. So it's starting to shape up now, so let's just check back in on our questions to see what else we need to add. So we've got, the next one is challenges, pain points. So in this type of document, you're probably going to want to have more than 1 challenge or pain point. So let's make sure that we give enough room for our readers to write in, say 3 challenges or pain points. So let's go back in. We're going to change this to just describe your customers' challenges or pain points. And then we're going to click on this. We're going to use the blue menu to go up to column group because we want to duplicate this whole column group, not just the individual column. So let's click on that, click duplicate, and we're going to do the same thing again because we're going to need 3 challenges or pain points. And then let's change these to 1, 2, and 3. And our worksheet is now shaping up nicely. So let's go back again then to our next set of questions. Common objections to buying. So this could be similar. It could be like we want the top 3 objections to buying. So let's try that. We're going to duplicate these 3 column groups again. So we'll just change this question to common objections to buying. And we don't need this box because we're going to duplicate one of the ones above it. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to use the blue menu to select column group, and I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to click on it, use the blue menu to go to column group, and I'm going to move it down. And then again, we're going to duplicate it. Click on the new one, go to column group, and duplicate. And then we need to change these again to be 1, 2, 3. And if we zoom out, we can see now that we've got, this page is nearly full. So we've got just room maybe for one more sort of short question at the bottom. So let's go back into our list of questions. Yeah, and we want to include, or we want people to include like a quote from their customers. So let's see if we can squeeze that in here at the bottom. Let me zoom back in, go to the bottom, and just change this to like customer quote. So this box here, it's really just a text box. So what we're going to do is we need to leave some room for a customer quotation, but it doesn't need to be a lot of room. So let's just delete some of the lines out of this so that there's enough space. So that's probably enough space to write in like a customer quote. So I would say that if I save and zoom out, like that page is, perfect worksheet page to get people started. You can see that like there's a mix of like easy questions and slightly more challenging questions, but the worksheet is structured in a way to really tease this information out of people so it won't seem like such a big chore. All right, so let's go on to the next set of questions. So it's another block of 4. So it's income level, education level, family type, personality. I'm going to say that's going to be quite similar to this sort of group of 4 questions here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this page, and then we're going to edit it in the same way that we did this one. So let's go to the page menu. We can see we've got worksheet mix here at the end. We're not actually going to use all these other pages. So let me just go through and delete these just to keep it nice and tidy. And we always add the call to action at the end. So that's our workbook's looking a bit more organized now. So let's duplicate this worksheet mix page so that we can keep adding more questions. And reorder that. So what did we say? We had a batch of 4 questions to go here, and they were income level, educational level, family type, and personality type. So let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to click for income level. It was education level, personality type, and what was the last one? Family type. All right, so that's our next set of 4 questions. Let's see then if our next one is bio. So this is going to be like a short biography about the customer type. So that's probably going to be quite detailed. So let me see. Yeah, let's use like a bigger version of this. So let's delete all these other ones so we can just leave a lot of room for a biography quote. So the best way to delete things is just to click on them and use the blue menu. So click on this, you go to column group, go to delete. Click on this, go to column group, click on delete. Click on this, go to column group, and go to delete. So instead of customer quote here, we're going to have customer bio, and we need like quite a lot of space here. So let's just, I'm just pushing enter on the keyboard here just to leave a lot of space, because a customer bio could be quite long. And if I zoom out, you can see that we've now got a really good sense of what this worksheet is going to look like. Alright, so that's 2 pages of our workbook done already. Let's look back at our list of questions just to see what format we should now add them in. So we're down to bio. So the next is career goals, personal goals, work challenges, personal interests and hobbies. So that's 5 things that sort of need probably a mid-level of room for people to write their answers in. Like, it's not going to be like a 1-line box probably, but it's not going to be, you know, a full page either for each of these. So I'm going to say, if we go back into Beacon, that like these boxes aren't going to leave enough room. But let's go back into our other page. Yeah, I would say these type of boxes are probably more suited to questions like career goals, personal goals, work challenges. So let's duplicate this page again, and we're going to edit that again. So duplicate, quick reorder, and then let's edit this. So we don't need these questions at the top. So I'm just going to go in to click on it, column group, delete, click on it, column group, delete, and we're doing the same here now. So we had, if I remember correctly, we had 5 different questions for career goals, personal goals, work challenges, personal interests and hobbies. So we could probably add them just in the side boxes here. So let's just test that out. Career goals. Yeah, this is looking good. Career goals. I'm just going to reduce the text of that slightly to be 18. It's not all going to fit on one line, so I think we'll go 18 for that. Career goals, personal goals, reduce the size to 18. Work challenges, personal interests. And then we're just gonna, we've only got 3 here, so let's duplicate this. So we have 5, so duplicate and 4, click on it, column group, duplicate and 5. I think the last one was hobbies. And the 4th one was personal interests. So let's change that. All right, and we probably don't need this question at the top because the questions are really on the side. So let's just delete that. And we're nearly done here. We've got to list in favorite websites, personality traits, and preferred communication method. So favorite websites is that same thing I'm going to do where we want to leave room for multiple options. So this page is actually set up okay. So we're going to have the 3 favorite websites. So let's change the title of that. And that leaves plenty of space for people to write things in and maybe a short description of why they like the website. And then the next one, personality traits and preferred communication method. So I think we're going to need a bit more space than this for preferred, for personality traits. So we're going to need a new page. So let's just delete this by clicking on it and going to delete. Click on it and go to delete. Click and delete. And since, let me see, the questions are personality traits and preferred communication method. So that's probably just going to be 2 mid-level boxes, 2 mid-sized boxes. So the best way to do that, I think, will be to go to add new page. Again, filter by worksheet. And then this page is probably quite close to what we need, this template. So let me just click on that. Again, let's get rid of this headline and introduction. We don't need them. So we want to change this to personality traits. And what was the other one? Preferred communication method. So that was our last question. So we don't need this one at the end. So let's just click on it and delete it. Click on it and delete it. So I'm just going to preview this now so we can see we've done quite a lot of work there. So let's just see how the workbook is shaping up overall. So we have this nice cover page, looks good, nice striking image. We have this introduction page to help convince people that the workbook is worthwhile and that we're a credible source to be, giving people workbooks. And then we get into the nitty-gritty of the actual content of the workbook. So we can see that there's plenty of room for name, age, location, job title. There's a bit more space for these longer questions. And then that goes on to the next worksheet, page 2. Plenty of room for customer bio. That's always going to be a long one. And then, I think these boxes are a great way of, really like teasing information out of people. Like, it's easy if you set someone down and ask them about their career goals, like they're going to probably struggle and think for 10 minutes. Whereas if you have this workbook and worksheet format, then it's easy for them to get into the rhythm of writing these quick fire questions to really get that information across to you. And the same for favorite websites. Just list them out 1, 2, 3. Don't overthink it. And then we've got a call to action page, but that should be at the end of the publication. And then so this personality traits and preferred communication method, that should be moved up a page. So let's jump back into Beacon, and we're just going to drag this call to action to the bottom, and we're going to customize that. So we're going to change this headline to something like book a consultation. Now you know who your ideal customer is. Let us find them for you. And then I'm going to take out this text. We don't need company name or date of publication or anything, but I would like a big sort of call to action button. So let's close this menu, go into the drag and drop, find the button element, and then pull it onto the page. So you can see it's a big yellow button, and it doesn't quite fit our format. So let's quickly click it to customize it. So first we're going to change the background color to be this nice red that's used throughout. And we also want to move the button down below that text. So we're just going to move these, or use these arrows at the bottom of the blue menu to move this down. So now it's at the bottom of the page, and I'm going to customize the text to say, book a consultation today. And then we actually have to add in the URL. And then the button's a little bit too close to the text in front of it, so let's just add a few extra line spaces here just so it sits out on its own. And that's looking pretty good. If we go back into the preview, and if I scroll to the bottom, you can see that the call to action page is now right at the bottom. We've got this nice striking headline to book a consultation, and a nice big bold button that'll help to encourage people to click. Because now that we've given them the workbook, we've helped them to articulate all this information that they didn't previously know. So they're probably itching to get started, and booking a consultation is the best way to do that. So that's the call to action. This was a workbook. I hope you enjoyed following along. Enjoy making your own workbooks.